vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. What do we do first? Shuffle the questions. Okay. Ego is termed by some as edging God out. Oh, that's very clever. E for edging, G for God, O for out. Ego. Hadn't heard that. Yet many of us fail to drop ego due to something we feel as self-respect. How to know the distinction between ego and self-respect, and how to drop only the ego but not self-respect? What a nice question. Very good question. Yeah, this is a common dilemma. Yeah. Self-respect and ego. Interesting. We are not trying to drop the ego. In fact, we are trying to lift it up. Uddharet, it says. We are trying to walk it over to Sat Chit Ananda. Right now it is clinging with Velcro. Where is it clinging? To the body. It is clinging to the mind. It is clinging to the senses. It's clinging to all kinds of notions. It's clinging to whatever degree one has. What if one doesn't have a degree? Then it clings to the pedigree. This is the stock I come from. I have great parentage. I have this, I have that, all these things. So this is what the ego loves, all these things, because it's a collector. It's a collector of useless things. And then it has to stop collecting all those things. It doesn't have to drop, it has to drop collecting and be led by the Shastra. Mother Shruti walks this ahankara from hoarding all an endless amount of small things to what? To Satchidananda. So if you're hoarding all the finite things, the infinite, which is oneself, never becomes clear. The infinite doesn't become clear, then why? Because of the clinging, clutching the finite. In the mind of the ahankara, which is completely wedded to Atma Ajnanam, self-ignorance, what does it think? If I keep collecting, I will become infinite. Infinite is not something you become. Either you are or not. If I am not infinite, it's okay. I'll be happy not being infinite. Can anybody say that? No, everybody wants the infinite. And that too yesterday, right now. And why does everybody want the infinite? Because one already is that. There is a deep, deep, deep yearning for that. And so, because of this, there is a very nice Shruti that says you have to walk over. You walk over to the ahankara to Satchidananda. That is what the teaching is about. That's what the so-called journey is about. So the ego is not dropped. The ego is lightened of the burden of carrying the smallness and grieving as a result. Repeatedly coming to grief and repeatedly alienating itself from the whole. It is taught not to do that. This is the ego. Now, self-respect means, what does it mean? First of all, we have to understand. It means a certain sense of self, like this is who I am. And a certain sense of self will always have along with it healthy boundaries. This is where I end, and this is where you, my dear, begin. There is a separation, and that separation is important. Everybody cannot merge into one another, no matter how, even if you say this person is my BFF. What is BFF? Best friend forever. Yes. They may be BFF, but you can't merge into them. Your needs, your desires, your this thing cannot be theirs, and their needs, their desires, their priorities cannot be yours. There has to be a little boundary. And the boundary comes when I have an understanding. I'm going to define self-respect a little differently. I'm going to say that what I think as self-respect, we all understand what it means, but I think it's good to articulate it. I'm going to say that the self-respect that I'm thinking, the definition of it, is that where I know who I am, not paramarthically, vyavaharically. Yeah. Not for, I may not have full knowledge. I may have just started the 3-month course. I'm still cutting my teeth on Vedanta. I'm still talking Vedanta baby talk. Goo, goo, ga, ga. That's the level I'm at. So that's not what I'm saying about self-knowledge, but there is another kind of a relative understanding of what one is, one's pressures, one's desires, one's core issues, what are the kinds of things that trigger one, and how to generally, of course, nobody is perfect and one falls, prey to that sometimes, but generally how to have these issues. How to have these issues? What are my triggers? What are the things I need to absolutely avoid? What are the kinds of people I should just be a little far away from? Because I may erase myself or something like that, whatever the thing might be. What are my talents? Objectively, not subjectively. Not some grandiose, narcissistic delusions of grandeur. No. What are my talents? And then, what are my liabilities? What are my challenges? This, if we know, then it is easy to move in the world. And we get a very nice, example from the Shruti herself. In the Kathopanishad, Nachiketa says, when he meets Lord Yama, he doesn't meet him yet. He has gone, Yama is busy, Yeah. Most of the time, he is near one of these ghats when we take a walk over there. Yeah. He's right over there, yeah. So, whenever I walk by there, I say, Lord Yama did not have a holiday today, even though Sunday. Okay, he doesn't take a day off. So anyhow, Lord Yama was not in, he was out, and then little Nachiketa goes there wondering, what does Lord Yama want from me? What might he want from me? What can I, a small boy, give? And in the process he says some very beautiful words. Bahunam emi prathamaha, bahunam emi madhyamaha. He says, and then I wonder what Yama wants from me. So Bahunam means among many people, I stand first. Meaning I'm better than some of the people that I know. And then he is very fair enough to say that there may be many people who are better than me in many respects also. Bahunamemi madhyamaha. From many angles, among many other people, I can see myself as coming in the middle, ranking in the middle somewhere. Around some people I am at the top, and around some people I am maybe in the middle. But he doesn't say bahuna memi antimaha. No, never last. This shows a healthy sense of self. Objective, not subjective. He says, I'm not the best, east or west. I can be the best among some people, and then some other people who might be much more qualified. Like, for example, there is one now, what is that called? Mensa Club. You have heard of that? Yeah. There all the child prodigies are there. All these, 8-year-old, 9-year-olds, they're already enrolled in PhD programs all over the world. And they can do, you give them a complex equation, mathematical equation, they will solve it. By the time you finish writing it, they have already solved it. They have those kinds of IQs, carry high IQs. And so, Nachiketa says, if you put me with them, of course I will not be first, but if you put me some others, I may be at the top. This is a very beautiful thing, and if we wonder, why is Nachiketa's self-talk? Because you see, Lord Yama is not there, he's talking to himself. Why is that self-talk? The Upanishad is spending time giving self-talk. Musings of Nachiketa, who cares? But it tells us something. We do care, because it gives a very sharp and beautiful insight. What does it say? It says that one of the prerequisites for self-knowledge has to be this healthy sense of self. And for that, I have to be able to see that the trauma one has endured does not define oneself. And then, not only that, whatever else, whatever difficulties, challenges one has had, does not define oneself. And so this way, it is important to have a sense of self. That I respect. That is self-respect. I am not demanding or commanding everybody else to look at me and look at those things in me and validate them. Then I become a beggar. Please validate me, please approve of me, please give me your seal of approval, otherwise I'm going to fall apart. Then I become an addict. I become an approval-holic. Yes, approval-holic. Everyone I'm looking to see if are you going to approve of me? What kind of a life is it? So therefore, I have to have this sense of self. I come to an understanding of this sense of self. Yes, there are many places I can improve. Let's be objective. One can say, there are many places I can improve. I'm not all perfect. There are many places I'm okay. But then, what is it here? I have to approve of what it is. No, but many things I don't like, that's okay. Let's change it. But change doesn't happen overnight. It's a project. Everybody is a work in progress. WIP, not VIP. WIP. Everybody is a WIP. Work in progress. So, okay, you don't like these things about yourself, fine, fair enough. But then you make a sankalpa, an intention to change, fair enough. Change will happen, but it can't take place overnight. Right now, I decide to accept this is what it is. I'm trying my hardest to drop the pain, to drop the anger, to drop the fear, whatever it is I'm trying to drop. But as that is happening, this is who I am. I should approve of myself. Approve here means accept. This, at least on the empirical level, on the Vyavahariki Satta, there should be a sense of self-acceptance, a relative sense of self-acceptance, so that I don't become an approval seeker, validation hunter. And now equipped with this definition, let us put some new eyes on this question. Ego and self-respect. Yeah. So when there is hurt, especially in connection to other people around, there is a feeling of being slighted. There is a feeling that this person is not respecting me. Possible. Let's be fair enough. Possible the other person is, as they say in America, dissing you. They will not wait to, especially, polysyllabic words. The Americans don't have patience in articulating. Disrespecting. So many syllables. Dissing. Okay. So they may be dissing you. No problem. Let us take that as an option. They are dissing you. But still, let us take two scenarios. An objective person who has this sense of self-acceptance and is not looking for approval, has healed himself or herself from the need for this approval, how will that person behave, or how will that person face that kind of a criticism or self, what is that called? The slight to the self-respect? They will simply walk away. Because what's the point in engaging? They will walk away, or if they feel like saying something, they will say something non-committal and walk away, because what's the point in engaging with somebody who doesn't understand you? That they don't understand you, that's why they are passing some comments. You can simply say, that looks like your perception. That's all. Throw it back to them, deflect it back to them. It is a judo move. You give it back to them. Somebody hands you some sludge and you say, I think it belongs to you, here, take. You don't catch it, you give it back to them. This is what all the martial arts teach. You gently deflect. You don't have to, the martial arts is all about non-confrontation, not getting into squabbles and all these things. So, in a healthy scenario, the person would just walk away and just shake the head, maybe for 2 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it will bother them, they'll scratch their head, I wonder what happened to this person. They were very friendly up till now, wonder what happened, and then they'll forget about it. And then next time they meet them, they will be a little cautious and they will make sure that they don't get into that kind of a situation again, and then it is done. But a person who is unsure of herself or himself, when they get into this kind of a scenario, then what will happen? Oh, they dissed me, they disrespected me, my self-respect is in the toilet, how could they do this to me? What did they do this to me? Why me? Why not somebody else? Why only these things happen to me? Is it my karma? How can I have such bad karma? Where is the astrologer? Look at where all it has gone. And then the person keeps on playing the scenario in the head. What could I have said? Why didn't I say this? So many things I can say. I'm actually a very good speaker. But here what happened? I just stood there with my mouth open, and then that person said everything they wanted and left. This is the whole problem here. This is the problem. So, the self-respect is a certain kind of a sense of self, which is a kind of a acceptance of where one is at any given time. So, we have seen the objective and we have seen the subjective. This is so really speaking, now that we have understood this, the term self-respect, if it is dependent on any other person than myself, respecting myself, then it does not really, it's not needed. I don't need that. I grow out of needing that. I make myself so strong. And that is why we spent so much time on verses 5 and 6 or 6 and 7. What is that? Uddharedatmanatmanam natmanam avasadayet. Don't put yourself down. If you put yourself down inside your heart, then whenever anybody puts you down, then that is activated. That message gets activated. That's why the sorrow. That's why the grief. So, those two verses must be very well assimilated and studied. In Karika, in chapter 6 of the Gita, we are instructed in meditation so to experience the cessation of the mind and realize the true nature. This can be accomplished by realizing the silence after Om, Turiya. So can it not be said that the knowledge of Brahman can be realized through certain types of experiences and not only through Shabda Pramana of the Shastras? No, it cannot be said. And I have sound reasons to say that. In chapter 6 of the Bhagavad Gita and in the Karika, indeed we are instructed in meditation. Mandukya Karika, we are indeed instructed in meditation, correct. So as to experience the cessation of the mind, correct. Because otherwise all the time the thoughts are crowded. Up till here I am with you. And realize our true nature, no. I would like to edit that. Not to realize our true nature. Because if we realize our true nature through meditation, then why would anybody come to Vedanta? What for is Vedanta, right? You come sit here, come. So what for is Vedanta? If we can all do many things, because meditation is also an action. And the mind, the cessation of, not the mind so much, but the cessation of thoughts gives a space, because otherwise the whole day the mind is very crowded. Internally it's crowded, externally it's always responding to stimuli. So everything is like that. So the mind is extremely crowded, and because in this crowded mind, there can be, one is not in touch with oneself. And with oneself means one is not in touch with the quietude. One is not in touch with the silence, the quietude. It's not that silence is Satchidananda. Then what about noise? If noise is not Satchidananda, then Satchidananda becomes limited. So it is to give an understanding of how it is to not always have the mind going round and round in circles. That quiet mind becomes ready for this knowledge. It's not to realize the self. It is not a direct means for self-knowledge, because the direct means for Atma-jnanam is what? Shravanam. Only Shravanam. If you ask me tomorrow, I'll say Shravanam. If you ask me in my sleep, if you wake me up, what's the direct meaning? Even if I'm half asleep, I'll say Shravanam. Because it's the truth. So two arguments. One is that the first one is that meditation is an action. Manasa vyaparaha, saguna brahma vishaye, manasa vyaparaha, definition of meditation. Mental activity. Activity means what? Action only, no. Mental activity for which the subject matter, the object of meditation is Ishvara. This is the definition of meditation. So in other words, it's a mental prayer. It's a mental prayer. Sudhindra, come here. Come. Sit here. It's a mental prayer. Is this your question on meditation? No, okay. So, it's a mental prayer. And if it's a mental prayer, then it's an action. saying the name of Bhagavan repeatedly, Om Ishaya Namaha, Om Namah Shivaya, all these things. It's a mental prayer. So action and knowledge are like oil and water. They cannot mix at all. Because action is finite or infinite? Abba, thank God. And the results of action therefore are finite. Very fine answer. So, then what do I want? Infinite. Action can never produce the infinite because the infinite is not a product. It's not manufactured. It is and it is you. It is and it is you. So therefore, meditation is not a direct means for Atma-jnanam, but without meditation, it is very difficult to let the mind focus. What we are doing in meditation is so that we have in our non-meditative state, we are able to focus on the teaching. Don't you find yourself listening differently than January 14th when you came? Yes? Why such a feeble yes? Yeah. Make me also feel good, no, once in a while. Whether you notice or not, I notice. I notice there is a difference in the way that you will listen. I notice. Sometimes I know it's easy for others to notice than for yourself. We cannot judge our own growth sometimes. I understand. But I see that. I see that there is less looking here, looking there. There is less of that glazed look that happens. Yeah, I see everything. Yeah. And then there is less of a glazed look where a thought comes and suddenly the student goes off into the sunset. There is less of that. Huh? And then there is less of sitting like a stone. What is this meaning? I like what I'm hearing, but I'm not going to give it to it yet. I need more proof. I'm not going to be converted. I'm not going to do this. I mean, it's nice. But let me not show them that it is nice. All that is going. It's less and less and less. And of course, the Nirvikalpa Samadhi is almost gone. Yeah, this is awesome. It's very awesome. So, the meditation that means is helping in the listening, the quality of listening. Next, can we know with certainty that the existence of the world depends on awareness? Yes. How? Very easy. Okay. We'll go walk a little bit to the side of Buddhism. All right. They have these things. The Zen teachers have it so easy. They come to class, they say the opening prayer, and they ask a question, say the closing prayer, and go off. And the student has to tear their hair out in clumps, trying to answer that question and meditate and contemplate on the question. What is the question? If a large tree falls in the forest, does it make a sound? Yes. Yes? Okay. For a change, all of you are unanimous. Usually there are two pakshas. Today everybody said yes. Self-respect. So, this is the, yes, it makes a sound. Why? Because we are rational people. We know that, 32 feet per second it is falling. The law, it's the gravitational force, and we know let's say we know the mass of the tree, and then we know that what kind of a crashing sound it will make, because we have heard trees fall in the past, if not